Have you ever felt like there's just not enough hours in the day? Like no matter how hard you work, the to-do list just keeps on growing? Been there, done that, overwhelmed, overworked, counterproductive. But what if I told you that the key to unlocking unimaginable productivity lies in 5 simple automations? Yes, you have that right. 5 game-changing strategies that are so simple, yet have completely transformed how I get to work and what I get to focus on. I'm Yvonne Heimann, and today I'm going to pull back the curtain on my productivity secret. From turning simple calendar entries into actionable ClickUp tasks, and ClickUp generating folder structures and assets for me in Google Drive. I promise you, these automations will save you hours every single day, and you don't even have to change how you already work in ClickUp. Let's start with an easy one. I hope you have a calendar for you to get booked on. If you don't have a calendar for you to get scheduled and schedule client calls, you have a way bigger issue. Go get the calendar and come back. When you have your calendar, you get everything into your Google Calendar. Everything is there. That's awesome. Cool. But it's not actionable. We can't do anything around it. It's in your Google Calendar. Great. Now what? How do I take meeting notes? How do I follow up? How do I do all of this? So what we have done is a simple Zapier automation. Yes, Zapier, because my scheduler works only with Zapier. I usually prefer make.com. Zapier for this one, still on the free. You don't even have to pay for it. Where when we have a new booking come in from Book Like a Boss, which is my scheduler, we create a task in ClickUp. Now, here comes the first thing. You do want to have one single list for your calls scheduled. As you can tell right here, it tells me the name and the type of appointment that was scheduled with me. From here on, we then move things around. This could be a discovery call. This could be a paid call. This could be a podcast scheduling. Yes, even my podcast scheduling goes through the scheduler. Now from here, I manually actually move them potentially into my CRM, in this case right here, as a subtask to a podcast episode. You might also move them as a subtask to your CRM of a client so that you can track all of the calls of your clients. There's so many different use cases on how you can use this. Your imagination is the limit. Again, what we use this automation for, pulling those tasks and turning them into tasks in different locations or in subtasks, is for tracking client calls. How many calls did they have? We are using them in my podcast workflow to know when we can schedule specific live shows, that I know exactly. Looking here, we are recording on March 12th. We are totally gonna be fine releasing this episode on March 11th, as well as being able to take meeting notes right here in ClickUp based on the appointment task. If you think this is already fancy, hit that like button, because I promise you the ones coming up will blow your mind even more. As you maybe know or maybe not know, I am a Verified Plus ClickUp consultant, which means I am on the website on ClickUp being promoted as a partner. Now with that, if somebody goes onto that website, submits a request to work with me, I get an email from ClickUp. I can define this email specifically by specific data points right here in Gmail. Now, Gmail, based on that data, filters this and triggers a webhook. That's what I have set up. Then that webhook gets pulled into make.com, where I use a text parser to get that information out that I'm getting, because there is images in there, there's all kinds of stuff in there, and I need to pull just the information out of the first name and that kind of thing, to then automatically add that as a lead in my CRM setup within ClickUp, then adding it into ActiveCampaign with all the information, tagging the contact, and then ActiveCampaign starts sending out an email saying, hey, we got you, little video with it, would love to work with you, here is how to move forward. Now this allows me to be hands off. It is still personalized. They're getting a video, all the fanciness. I see if they open up the email or not, but it also adds them to my CRM so I don't lose track on what's happening where and win, so that I can follow up if they did not schedule a discovery call to really talk with me. Best of both worlds, because it's not my decision how I get this information. So I worked around it and made it work. Now comment below, internal or external automation. What would you love to automate that just annoys the living hell out of you in your day-to-day? There's a reason my upcoming group coaching program is called Automate to Dominate, because if you can automate your day-to-day, you really can dominate and show up for your audience and your client. And talk about dominating and saving time. Who here creates social media content? Who here creates blog posts? Who here deals with digital assets every single day? If that is an Instagram post, if that is a video, if that is a reel, whatever it is, it's 2024. We are working a lot with digital content, aren't we? If you work with digital content, you probably know the struggles of SEO optimizing your images so that your blog post actually gets more SEO traffic, not just from the text, but also from the images. Filing this stuff right. You need to build all the folders and you need to do all the stuff. I'm gonna stop right here because we all know how much hours goes, no matter if it's your team or if it's you, just by managing digital assets. What I'm gonna use as an example is a YouTube video. This same thing works for podcasts. The same thing works for blog post creation. Again, your imagination is the limit. This same framework can be applied in so many different use cases. So let me show you, and then I'm gonna wrap back up again on what's possible and how you can cross-map this. So let's look at automation number 3 on how we can connect Google Drive with ClickUp for all this fanciness, shall we? Right here, when I click onto this prep stage, there is an automation running that says, hey, we need some stuff. So if we look right in here, when a custom field changes to record, we are triggering a webhook. That specific webhook now goes into make.com, which pulls all of the information from ClickUp, all of the information that's in the custom fields, the task title, all the things. It pulls all of this out because we need it. Then it generates a Google Drive folder in a specific location based on a custom field. That's the episode number first, the task name, and the task ID. I plug the task ID in there in case something ever breaks and the connection is lost, that I know exactly how to find the task. If we rename it, all the things. Now within this Google Drive folder, we then generate a final folder, a raw folder, and a graphics folder. Those, if you look at this, allow us to have the final edited video, the graphics for this episode, as well as the raw files. Everything nicely sorted. And again, right there. Task ID, perfect. Everything is there. Even better, it then takes this main Google Drive folder link and adds it to ClickUp, which means when I go right in here, I am in the folder for this episode with all of the assets that my team put in there. Now, that's the folder creation in Google Drive. What happens when we actually create images? Because we want them named based on the episodes so that we hit the highest SEO possible. Simple. I have a Gravity form on my website where the task ID is needed. You upload the YouTube thumbnail, the square, and the story. We have this for YouTube as well as the podcast. Now, what happens is when this form is being submitted, it pulls the task ID, and I show you how my team knows the task ID in a second, because they don't even have to go into the task to figure that task ID. No, we automated that with an email, but we'll come to that in the next automation that I'm going to show you. Then, based on that task ID, we pull all of the information from ClickUp. I need all of that. Go call. Go. What do we need? Cool. We got all of that information. Awesome. Then we are routing this to 3 HTTP files, meaning right there, pull that URL. That's the URL of the graphic. Cool. And we are routing that again. You upload that to Google Drive and you rename that file. We are not calling this PNG1. That's not doing anything for our SEO. We are renaming this based on the task name, because the task name is our episode name, which is optimized based on our SEO research. So the task name is already SEO optimized. And then we just add the square at the end to know, hey, when I'm searching square images, it's easier to find. And it goes right into the file. It's all structured right there. And we do that again for the story image and for the thumbnail image. And not only that, it gets renamed and uploaded to Google Drive. It also gets uploaded to ClickUp and attached to that specific episode. So, which means if I pop right in here, there it is. But if I scroll down, there's all the images. With that, you have your backup on Google Drive. Perfect. But you also have it readily available for your team right in here. Now, if you want to be way more productive and build more and more automations in your business, hit that subscribe button. We have more automation magic coming for you so that you can step out of your business and stop working in your business and finally work on your business. That is the only way how you're going to skyrocket your productivity. Here is the automation that I just promised you. Number 4, how do we send an email when a custom field changes? As you can see already here, this is the automation that I talked about. I have team members that are not in ClickUp every single day because they just create some graphics for me and done. With that, every time when I change field in here and it's their time to do something, I also send out an email that says, hey, by the way, we did this. Here is the link to the form where you need to submit it. Here's the task ID you need to do this. Awesome, cool, done. Now, how did we do that? When you go into automations, one of the first things is you need to have that trigger. In our case, it is video stage changes to record. When I'm ready to record, I already have laid out the thumbnails, which then has his email in here. We have the email template ready to go. You can pull any and all custom fields in here to show that data. So you need to make sure that when you set this up, you have the custom fields ready. I know there's a lot going on, but this is how easy it is to send out an email based on what's happening in your task. And as you can see right here, there's a lot of stuff going on in here. We only show in list view all the ones we need. Though, when you pop in here, the Google Drive folder is already ready to go. The keyword is in here. The graphics folder is even mentioned, which is needed in the automation. Everything is here and it can pull out the task name easily too. Now, the second use case of this is our podcast. We use this automation constantly in our podcast to update our guests. Meaning, when this podcast hits recording done, an email goes out that says, hey, thank you so much for recording with me today. I would love to get a podcast review right here. My team is going to keep you updated on all the things happening. By the time my team marks this podcast as scheduled, this is what goes out. And people like Jeff Fenster, who was just on my podcast, he shares things constantly. You want to be sure that he or any other guest on your podcast has the resources to do so. And again, all of these assets are already linked in my custom fields. There is the link to the blog post. There's the link to the YouTube video. There is a link to the Descript transcription right here. There is the transistor, which is the podcast host for this specific episode. It is all in here. So again, we just set up that email template, and when it hits the right stage, there we go. It's really that simple. And here is your 5th and last automation, and it's based on a comment that just happened on my YouTube channel. So if you are looking for a solution, pop into the comments. I am in there. I am listening. There is a way that we can also build an automation based upon the due date. And here you go. You ask. Here it is, popping into the automations. Wherever you are running this, you need the custom fields. But imagine this, if we want to create an automation based upon due date. So, when due date arrives, when due date arrives, Think about, you have your clients right here in ClickUp. You have a database. You have their birthday in here. You might have a reminder in here. It could be anything. It needs to be the due date. Right now, we cannot use custom date fields yet to trigger these automations. So you need the due date. But the due date could be a birthday. The due date could be a reminder for renewal. We have set this up where an automation, when the work is done, triggers new tasks to be created, 1 in 5 months, 1 in 11 months, to remind the client of something they need to do in 5 months and 11 months. There's so many use cases for this, and you can work around not being able to use date custom fields yet. So what we do is, the due date is set. Now you can make this due date also a recurring due date every year, so you do not have to update the birthday. Set it recurring for every year. I'm so excited about this one. Then you need the email field. So we are using the email field. You need the client's email. Did we get that? You need the client's email or no email is going out. We don't need to CC anybody. Put a subject in there, happy birthday, just for the sake of it. In the body, plug in your email. You can use the first name. If you have the custom field of first name, use the first name. Use personal information to customize this email. And then you literally just send an email based on the due date. And if you combine that with a recurring due date of every year, every month, every day, or maybe not every day, you can use it for so many different things. You can use it for birthdays. You can use it for reminders. There's so many things you can do this for, especially setting the due date on recurring. You want to be even more productive? Yeah? Who doesn't, right? Check out how we use ClickUp Brains to AI power our project management, how AI helps us get really productive and find potential bottlenecks in our ClickUp. And don't forget to subscribe. I want to see you in the next video when I show you even more productivity tips and automations. I see you then.